Hello, NAPO, and welcome to the second President's Message of the month of September 2024. My goodness, how things are flying by. I'm your president, Mindy Gotting, and I am really excited to welcome my board colleague, Amy Olson, is here with me today. So Amy has a lot of roles in NAPO, but the one she's going to be talking about this afternoon is the nominating and leadership development process with NAPO and what's coming down the pike in terms of building NAPO's leadership and looking for new members to join us on the board. So Amy, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good. So tell everybody who's watching a little bit more about you and your business.
My business is Life Done Simply. I'm a productivity and organizing coach focusing on mindfulness and minimalism practices. I am a full-time traveler, but I base my business in Minnesota, was past president of NAPO Minnesota, and volunteered on the Chapter Relations Committee. And this past May, entered the board of directors for NAPO, and I'm the education advisory director or board liaison, and I am the chair of the nominating leadership development committee. So very busy, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a whirlwind, and I've been a NAPO member since 2016.
Wow. Okay. So we are thrilled to have you on the board. And I'm actually really excited to hear about sort of the future of our board and what's coming. So tell us, speaking about nominating and leadership development, what board positions are open this coming year?
Yes, so there are three member director positions available. Those are 3-year terms. And the member director is the board liaison to different committee chairs in different program areas around NAPO. So while you're not running for a specific position, that is actually assigned by the president. You're more or less coming into the board and open as member director to overseeing different areas.
Yeah, that's something that not everyone realizes on the outside looking in that I love to explain, like when I do chapter visits, is that the NAPO board, the board composition or the board assignments are really determined by the board composition. So as as a contrast to like a chapter leadership where you go in and you're running for or you're slated for, membership director. Um, our NAPO board, we get everybody onto the board and then we interview them about their interests, their skills, what they've done in the past with NAPO, what they're passionate about. And then we assign all of the roles, which I think is a really great way to do it because that hopefully gets everybody kind of working in their strengths and in areas that they're interested in pursuing.
Yeah. And I have to say that piece of it was a bit frightening for me coming in. We're all control freaks here in NAPO, and we all like to kind of chart our own path and have it very organized. So to step out of a comfort zone, which was that chapter relations committee, right? I had a lot of chapter experience to be then asked to do education advisory committee and nominating leadership development. I thought, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. But in reality, the board members that come before me and my board leadership, they know what's the right fit, and they know too where they're looking to make a pivot and a change and who's going to be best to fill that position. So I always now look at it as, okay, trust the process. You're going to land where you need to land. And the rest of the board members are so incredibly supportive when you're coming in that there's really nothing to be scared of.
Good. Okay. I'm glad you said that out loud because I'm sure you're not the only one who's ever felt that way. So what other benefits come with serving on the board for someone who's curious or entertaining the idea?
Yeah. So aside from the obvious of you get to lead, right? You get to develop those leadership skills, guiding NAPO through all the different changes that we're making that are aligned with our mission and values. So that's the obvious. You just get to elevate those leadership skills just a little bit higher. But I think more importantly, you get to connect and network with like-minded individuals within NAPO. And collaborate with individuals that maybe you wouldn't have because they're not in your geographical area. You haven't volunteered with them before. And what's really interesting about that is it teaches you to lead and collaborate with more diverse experiences,
Mhm.
opinions, thought processes, ideas. And to me, that has been the most impactful part of my service so far, is just that broadening of the horizons. But you also get to grow and enhance your resume. This is really valuable experience. It's a lot of work. But I would tell any NAPO volunteer or anybody who's volunteered in any other organization before, it's it's only seems like a lot up front because you're learning so much. But once you kind of get those training wheels off, you're really able to kind of grow and really immerse yourself in that valuable experience. And you know what? Influencing NAPO with my vision and with the vision of my colleagues is one of those that is just really exciting to me, because we're here. This is an industry that we love and we want to support, and we all have different ideas that we're bringing in. And so to be able to have a seat at the table in that boardroom and just be able to express that idea, that thought, that to me is a great benefit. Because I always say, you have an opinion or you're bringing an experience to the table that no one else can do, right? It's yours and uniquely yours. And so that has been really great. And again, to have such supportive colleagues who listen thoughtfully and are really great at, just hearing me, hearing the other board members, and then always, coming together and working towards that greater mission. It's very rewarding.
That influence, that is mine. I tell you, that was my motivator. Just being as someone, as one of my board colleagues from a couple of years ago put just wonderfully, being in the room where it happens, right? And
Yeah.
having these global conversations where you really are not just having an impact on the NAPO community today, but you're having an impact on the profession years from now, which I think is just so interesting. But so that one piece is what always got me engaged with NAPO leadership and NAPO board service.
Yeah. And it's a lot of work, but I will say so far it's a lot of fun as well, right? So we work hard, we play hard. And again, talk about just that coming together. You've got different leaders from different walks of life coming together. And because we have that same shared passion, there's just, it's like I feel like I have a new support network that I wouldn't have had even though I was already in NAPO. Right. So
Love
it's been very rewarding.
it. Okay, so what qualities are you and your team looking for in an ideal board candidate?
Yeah. So number one would be the passion for the mission, right? We don't join the board to serve ourselves. We join the board to serve NAPO. And so really having a passion and understanding for the mission and our core values, and our vision is really important. So that first and foremost, that's what we're looking for in a board candidate. The next is the ability to really be capable of seeing the big picture. So, right, we say strategic thinking, but some people go, oh, what does that mean? Really just kind of looking at what are the long-term goals? What are those bigger ideas for NAPO? And being able to then drill down and really think strategically about how do we get there. I think this next one is maybe the most important new idea that we really are putting emphasis on now, which is diversity of thought. We want diversity of experiences, of socioeconomical positions, of just professional experience, diversity in cultural, every type of diversity we can think of, we're looking for on the board, because what we know is all of those pieces come together to create a conversation in the boardroom that we couldn't have if everyone were the same, right? If we all had the same backgrounds, if we all came from the same different profession before we hit NAPO. So I would say diversity of thought, bringing unique experiences in is very important. So if you're someone new to NAPO and you think, well, I've only been a professional organizer for a couple of years, a few years, what could I possibly bring? I strongly encourage you to think about your past experiences, your past professional experiences, and your personal experiences as well, and think, how would that contribute in a positive way to the NAPO mission? We're also looking for strong collaborative spirit, right? The ability to just hear people out and be patient and think about things in a way that you haven't thought about before. Um, Teamwork is absolutely necessary, right? Because as a board liaison, you're working not only with your committee chairs, but oftentimes many committee members and the chairs and committee members of your board colleagues as well. So
Mhm.
a strong collaborative spirit is important. And then, of course, the ability to solve problems proactively and creatively. Um, I like to always say in NAPO, just because we've done something or solved a problem one way in the past doesn't mean that's how we need to solve it in the future. So just always thinking proactively and creatively about any problem we might encounter.
I love it. Okay, so there's something for everyone there. I think that it's also worth mentioning that, when individuals come into the board, they might have their certain strengths, and then they're looking to develop some of the other pieces of the picture, right? So as long as you have the that, and I love that collaborative spirit, like as long as you're coming in with the intention that it's like, I'm open to growth, I'm interested in new ideas, I want to be a part of the conversations that are solving problems, then wherever you feel like your resume has some gaps, you can also be building those skills with your board experience.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I'll share an experience that I had while I was applying or nominating myself for the board, which was I started to go through the resume piece of it. And what was really surprising to me is I had kind of blocked out my previous experience. I call like pre-NAPO, right?
Yeah.
Before, but
My
before
former life.
BN, before NAPO. And I had professional experience and leadership experience before NAPO, but once you get into your organizing business, your coaching business, whatever it is, and your NAPO leadership experience, you tend to forget about the past, but that's all relevant. And so what I loved about applying for the board of directors was it was really enlightening about, oh,
Hmm.
wait a minute, all these pieces are starting to come together and they're all relevant and they all matter to this next, to this next track that I'd like to go down. So, yeah, you don't have to have everything honed perfectly before you get into the boardroom. There's a lot of processes and policies and procedures that you just won't be familiar with, even if you've volunteered a long time in NAPO, and that's okay because you'll learn.
And so that actually brings up a good point. So we are interested in having applicants from someone who might be in their first couple years in the profession, right? Like someone who's really coming in with that perspective of, I'm new to the profession, I'm new to the organization, and I want to have a voice. We are
Yeah.
interested in those candidates. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think it's always helpful to have volunteered within NAPO, right?
Hmm.
Just at your chapter level or at the national level or in a SIG, whatever it might be. But we consider all proven leadership experience valuable inside and outside of NAPO. And I will actually, my opinion would be leadership experience outside of NAPO might be a little more valuable, again, because we're talking about just that diversity of thought and perspective, which is really important, not only to our board, but it's important to the membership as well. As we're seeing our membership demographics shift and change with the time, we also want to make sure that we're relevant and shifting as we need to.
Okay, great. So, Amy, can you share a little bit more information about the timelines and the application process?
Yeah, so at the beginning of September, you will have received a NAPO to do email. And in that NAPO to do was a link for more information about running for the board of directors. So if you're interested, you can click on that link. And just to get more information, you can reach out to the Nominating and Leadership Development Committee, and we can run through what the roles and responsibilities are and the process and procedure. But today, in this NAPO to do, you will receive an open application link. If you so choose to run for board of directors, you can start the application process. Like I said, though, if you want some more information, we'd love to hear from you. So please reach out to us so we can get you that information on the policies and procedures. But part of that information link for the application will be several different components that comprise or make up the application. And number one, that would be a CV or resume for the position. And that's really kind of going over all of your professional, personal, and leadership experience. The second piece of that is we're asking for 3 professional references that the committee can check during the interview process in November. And we're asking for a short statement on why you're running for board of directors. And then in addition to that, there's a leadership competency self-assessment that covers 10 different key leadership areas. And this is the section of the application that will maybe be the most time consuming, because it's going to cover a lot of leadership areas that you're going to have to kind of think back into your history and think of the experience you have. So I found it very enlightening, but you will want to give yourself a good chunk of time to get that done. And then we're asking for a 90 to 120-second video introduction of you, who you are, what brought you to NAPO, and why you'd love to be a leader on the NAPO board of directors. So we're asking a lot in that application, and that's why the deadline is November 1st. So between now and November 1st, you can reach out to myself or any member of the Nominating and Leadership Development Committee and ask the questions. If you start to go through the application and you have questions, you can reach out. We're here to support you and help you through that process as we can. The slate of candidates will be decided by the board of directors in December, and then the ballot will be released in January. And the new term for board, the 2025-2026. It feels so weird to say that year already. The 2025-2026 board of directors takes office on May 15th of 2025.
Well, I'm so excited to welcome the next generation of NAPO leaders to the board. Thank you, Amy, for your time today, and thank you for all the work that you and your team are doing in nominating and leadership development. I can't wait to meet our new board members. So if you're at all curious about serving on NAPO's board, please, please, please do reach out to any member of the board, either current or past, and get their thoughts on what their experience was, what they loved about it. And if you have any other questions, of course, Amy and her team are ready to answer those as well. So thank you, Amy. And we will look forward to welcoming 3 new member directors on our NAPO board. Bye for now.